Here's a fun fact that I genuinely love bringing up because it tells you everything you need to know about why people struggle with fat loss. In a well-known study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, trained dietitians, people whose entire job is understanding nutrition and calories, were asked to estimate the calorie content of their own meals. On average, they underestimated by around 20%. Now, these are trained dietitians, people who know food for a living. Now, imagine how badly the average person is getting it wrong. Research on self-reported food intake consistently shows that people, regular people, underestimate their calorie consumption by anywhere from 30 to 50%, nearly half. And they overestimate how many calories they burn through exercise by a similar amount. So the person who thinks they're eating 1,800 calories is probably eating closer to around 2,400. And the person who thinks their run burned 500 calories probably burned 300. The gap between perceived and actual is fucking enormous. And this is why so many people are in a confused, frustrated holding pattern where they genuinely believe they are doing everything right and nothing is working. They're not lying to you. They're not being lazy. They are just really bad at estimating, because humans are really bad at estimating. We always have been. Our brains were not built to calorie count. They were built to survive. So what's the actual solution here? You track properly. This doesn't have to be forever, but at least long enough for you to understand what you're actually fucking eating. And I know what some people are going to say. Tracking calories feels obsessive to a lot of people. It can feel like a fuck ton of effort. But here's the thing, it's a skill. And like any skill, it gets faster and easier with practice. Most people who track regularly says it takes them about 5 minutes a day once they've got the hang of it. 5 minutes. That's less time than you spend this morning looking at your phone before you got out of bed. The most important thing when tracking is actually to weigh your food rather than, eyeballing it. And this is where almost everyone goes wrong. They'll, track the chicken breast as 150 grams when they're actually eating 220 grams. They'll track olive oil as 1 tablespoon when they drizzled about 4, and that was all over their salad. They'll forget their milk in their coffee, the handful of nuts that they grabbed off the counter, the few bites of their partner's food. Yep, all of those things there, they add up. And if you're estimating rather than measuring, you're not really tracking. You're just guessing with a few additional steps. People are honestly going to think I'm chatting shit here. There's also a thing called calorie amnesia, which is when you just don't mentally file certain eating occasions as, real. The handful of chips you took from the bag while making dinner didn't count. The bite of cake at the office, that birthday, didn't count. The sauce on your food that you didn't measure didn't count. Except for your body and for your fat loss phase, it all counted. It definitely counted. Here's how to do all of this properly without going absolutely fucking insane. Get a decent kitchen scale. You can get one for about a fucking tenner, okay? Use an app like MyFitnessPal, which is the one that I go to, simply because it's the oldest one there, and it being the oldest means that it has a decent library of foods, which means the likelihood of you scanning a barcode or typing something in and it being there is very high. Log everything for about 2 weeks. Don't try and change your eating in those 2 weeks, no, just observe. Most people are genuinely shocked by what they find. Not because they're eating terrible food, but because the volumes and the bits they weren't accounting for are genuinely surprising. Once you have all of that data, you have actual information to work with. You can see where your calories are coming from. You can see which meals are serving you well and which ones are quietly destroying your deficit, or which ones aren't really worth the calories. You can make intentional adjustments rather than, just going with the flow and hoping. I'm going to make this clear. You don't have to track every single meal for the rest of your life. The goal here is to build enough nutritional awareness that you can eventually eyeball things reasonably and understand and have an idea of how much calories is in that. Or also simply understanding what a serving size looks like. But you cannot get there without going through an honest period of actually measuring and logging. There is no shortcut around it. Stop tracking vibes. Start tracking food. I promise you, it will change fucking everything.